Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 9.11. Now, I know most of you are Hearts of Iron 4 refuseniks, and I totally understand your complaints of the game. But let me show you something here with this game, which they're unfortunately no longer working correct. Now, I had seen a bunch of Hungarian forces marching up this way. I thought, and they sort of started at the time when we had a British invasion up here. I thought, for some reason, they went, oh, I should be helping fighting the British. You know, like we often see air power sitting here, or like here, Slovak air power there. This is more Slovak. Oh, I guess maybe that was yeah, it's Slovak. And here we have Slovak, Croatian, and Serbian air power, it looks like. Sort of doing battle with Britain. Sort of thought it was like that. But really, you can see all the Hungarian forces came in here to battle alongside the Finns. And this is what I really only just woke up to this in playing the Italian series, and I just hadn't noticed it in anybody's playthroughs. I hadn't noticed it before because I'm most always playing Germany or like playing Britain or something, but where I was playing an Axis partner other than Germany, Romania and Hungary were up on the front lines with the AI Germany battling here, but Germany's and other troops, as soon as Italy got a hold of a province, they would abandon that province. So, like, let's say, because I know many of you haven't watched that, many of you have, say my troops from Azov and German troops from Tangarog were attacking Rostov-on-the-Don. Well, and let's just say, for some reason, the Italians, once the battle was won, made it there first, so it was now an Italian held province instead of the German one, and I had just one Italian unit, and there were, let's say, 4 tank units or whatever it might have been, German. They go, oh, okay, this is now Italian. Immediately retreat out of it and leave it to be lost by my one Italian unit, say, because it couldn't hold it. They would not intermix with my forces, and if there's some sort of setting that I don't know about, please, I'd love to have somebody tell me about it, but I think that it's something in this AI code. But I saw a lot of joint operation. Now I know, because I have in the past, if I were to come out, I presume, I almost know, if I were to start doing this and giving objectives to like Bulgaria and Romania, they would send units this way. But what I've often noticed is that they sort of meander around oddly. And they'll decide, oh, well, we'll send troops from here over to there, but the troops that are sort of down here or something, no, we'll send those over to some other place. And so it just seemed like I'd have lots of migrating troops, and it's part of the reason I've been having a lot of fuel problems, which I've been cheating a little bit on adding some fuel. Is when they're marching across my territory, and so I've often felt that they eat more fuel than they're worth. That's why I really love these units here, because I get them under my control. They're historically based, including models and whatnot, as being they are not German units. They are Romanian units, so they're not that great. So that's sort of what we've done. And so, okay, it wants to help out Finland, and instead of saying marching up from the south to do it, they go all the way up through Sweden into here. Now, I don't know why Sweden isn't. Sweden is not at war with the Western Allies. They're at war with the Soviets and the Soviet bloc. And we've definitely seen Swedish air and Swedish surface units going after the Soviets. But I've not seen any Swedes come to help the Finns. I don't know why they didn't do that. That seems sort of odd. If the Hungarians will. Now the Romanians haven't come up here. At least I haven't seen any Romanian flags. So yes, maybe it's too far away for the Romanians. I don't know, but it's just something. So, you know, I would have loved one more good DLC. And we, you know, have to say, fix supply, fix, yeah, I fix whatever. And in their recent Paradox con, and they talked about it. Yeah, I often get these complaints. But yeah, that's easy to shout fix X, but what do you mean by fix it? Now sometimes, you know, fix supply. Well, I have some thoughts. I'm very willing to go into it. Now, other times they also very much stated they don't need a 10-page on how to fix a game, because they're already thinking about a lot of these issues, and they are going to have their ways of being able to solve it. So, my solution for Hearts of Iron 4 supply is sort of a mix of this and what they currently have. And it's sort of ish-ish like the arcade mode with this, in that units consume supplies, or you build supplies, you know, as a discrete thing to be making, and supplies vaguely maybe representing things like food, but more representing things like shells, artillery shells. You know, is it better to have, say, 5 guns, 5 artillery pieces with 200 shells per gun, or 20 guns with 10 artillery shells per gun, or something, or whatever? In that, and this is one thing that you can sort of do with some of the text, but in, you know, superior firepower, is the number of guns more critical, or the number of shells you have? Because if you have a lot of guns, but you only have 5 shots per shell, or per gun, you know, you're going to hardly use them. But if you got 1 gun and truckloads of ammunition lined up behind it, you can just keep shooting that gun. Now, there's also the sort of the sweet spot is 1 gun can only shoot at 1 target at 1 moment. So you have 2 guns, you can shoot at 2 targets, theoretically. Obviously, you sort of concentrate your firepower. But, you know, so the idea that you can build up a large amount of artillery and build up stockpiles of artillery shells, and then use them, say, conquer the Low Countries in France, and go, great, yeah, we had artillery fire whenever we needed. Artillery support levels were great. Yay, we crushed them. Oh, maintaining that same level of firing for long periods of time, not for 6 weeks or 3 weeks, but for 6 months, is an entirely different show entirely. Sort of a tidbit of information. Sometime, probably around 1942, they did but sometime around this time, they did a survey. The Portuguese army did a survey of its ammunition stocks, and I think that means artillery shells, small arms, you know, rifle, machine gun, you know, submachine gun. I don't know if they had really much submachine guns, but of the Portuguese, you know, anti-aircraft, you know, ammunition and whatnot, they figured to fight for their army, the size of their army, to fight what they expected to be a sort of intense battle, you know, an active fight, not just, well, we're at war with you and you're over in your trenches and we're in ours, but active combat. They figured out they had 4 days of ammunition. After 4 days, basically, you're gonna, oh yeah, we got all our artillery here, nothing to shoot out of it. Oh, we got our machine guns, they're empty. So they could resist, whether it was a Spanish or a German or an American, because the Americans had invaded out here. Sort of a peaceful invasion, the Azores. I guess not yet, but this is why I say maybe around here, or maybe it was 43, because the Americans literally had invaded and taken the Azores. Again, just occupation and put in some air bases to go submarine suppression. But you know, can we resist somebody? You know, and so they had very limited and I say very limited, that maybe in some categories none, ammunition production. Not every country produces its own ammunition, people. You think Afghanistan makes bullets somewhere in Afghanistan? Iran certainly does. India certainly does. Does Nepal? Bhutan? Burma? I think Burma has an ammunition plant. I don't remember. Maybe, but I don't know that it does. Cambodia? Laos? No, they don't. Vietnam? I think it does. But so they import all their rifle and pistol ammunition. Probably from Singapore does make some rifles, but they don't make any artillery shells. They import all their own artillery shells. Malaya, I don't know about, but but Korea makes them. So I don't know who Burma or like Thailand or whoever is buying them from. The Philippines. So a lot of nations still to this day don't make their own, 9mm ammunition. Much of Africa doesn't. South Africa obviously developed its own. Had some arms production, sort of at the World War II, but sort of limited from that because Britain had problems with them, of course. But during the apartheid era, they developed significant arms production. And Egypt produces its own ammunition. And even, the Hakim and the Port Said. The Hakim is a is a version of the Husqvarna rifle, Swedish, and the Port Said is the Swedish K-submachine gun. And they also made an AK clone. We're still battling here. And so they also built their own ammunition. A friend of mine bought some 9mm from it, from surplus Egyptian ammo. So. But does Tunisia make it? I don't think so. So not everybody does that. So, and I don't know that Portugal even made its own bullets at the time. Spain definitely did, had a significant arms industry. But so you can see what that sort of means. 4 days of full active combat for Portugal. Okay. So, supplies is something I would have produced. A thing. Where, recently, I was cheered that their announcement, clear announcement, they sort of kind of announced before, but their clear announcement that fuel is coming back in the next DLC for Hearts of Iron 4. I did tweet to Podcat, can you please add a second fuel type, something that modders, sort of a secret one, that modders could rename supply, so the back door getting in supplies, just add fuel A, fuel B, whatever, and we could try to mess with it somehow. But supply is something that you produce, and then, like it's sort of in a version, I don't like the state mechanism, but in the version of Hearts of Iron 4, you calculate supply levels. So if, say, you have either a completely destroyed port here, this is obviously very big, I'm sort of actually surprised at how big that is, but let's just say if it was completely blown, down to red, or if it was just a level 1 supply base, and that was the only supplies coming in here, they take that as, the bottleneck here, and how much supply can move into here, how many units that it can support, so that it calculates that way. But supply is, as I would do it, and I would sort of, because of some of this problem, I would not do it as a thing that gets moved across the map. I would even sort of take that away. So with, and I did a long time ago experiment with the arcade mode for this, but it's just basically, if you can trace the supply line to your capital, all units are in supply. So it takes an actual cutting off to cut off supply. That is going a bit too far. Where I would just simply, so if you have a big super stack of panzers out here and, too low of supply levels, they'll choke off and take, organization and other losses because of lacking fuel or supplies. but that it doesn't need to be an actual thing that moves from province to province to province across the map. So if you want to destroy the movement of supplies, you can bomb its infrastructure, but you don't do it. And units consume the supplies, and at varying levels. Okay, well, after that sort of supply rant, let's up this speed to. There. We control the Mediterranean. That's something that, for some reason, every time we restart, it gets recalculated for other controls of, like, the Baltic. Obviously, if we lose it, it will be calculated as not having it, but it doesn't have to recalculate it every time. I don't get that. Okay. You go there. You. Okay. I think you're going to be fine, but what we're going to do is too weak of a position there. Yes, my confidence level of defeating the Soviet Union has gone up heavily in the last couple of episodes. I want to see the condition of the troops. Okay. Still fairly good. I don't think you're gonna break. We need to stop. We need to go in. Join the fight there. And yes, this is worrying me a little bit, but cut them off to make them feel like, uh-oh, we're being... Going in there and we need to Military decides U.S. military bases, okay. Which means they're getting these. A little surprised the Japanese haven't taken the Philippines yet. I might do better. Down here, I'm not too surprised. Definitely not surprised by that because I never got the port. But glad they got that. And so normally once they get the port, they get enough supplies to hang on and take these islands. Came over here. Well, partially look around, but I think there are also some bases over here they get. Oh, the Japanese didn't do well enough there, but they're hopefully we'll be able to hold out there. Because it does currently look like we're going to defeat the Soviets, which of course is a good thing. That's why we're playing the game, to defeat the enemies. I'm definitely going to play this game to a conclusion. I know some people, a couple of posters at least, this is some of my pessimism that I was saying, and I was definitely saying the pessimistic things. We're going, what, are you going to abandon this series before you get done? And, you know, sort of feeling possibly feeling betrayed by that. And I get that. I really do. Okay. I'll take those guys who are fairly well organized. That if I wasn't going to conclude the game, you know, putting all this time into watching it, and I trust me, I understand. Put the investment of time and interest in it. Yes, we're sending reinforcements. But like I said, I'm going to play it to some conclusion. I don't know to what conclusion. Does that mean putting the spike in America? You know, like I have done several times, you know, invading New York and Washington, D.C.? Maybe. Does that, you know, mean we're going to come over and help Japan clean up here in Australia? Maybe. We've done it before. Very likely taking Britain. I mean, that's almost, once we get the Soviet Union, that's almost for sure on the goal. But I'll tell you the truth right now. It depends on the viewers. I've definitely at times seen viewership go down towards the end of things. Yeah, there's still, you know, it still gets 80 views, 100 views. Yeah. But it just maybe gets to the point, quite truly, time to start a new series. That's all. I mean, we'll get to a conclusion. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we'll get to somewhere that it'll be like, yeah, you defeated them. Yeah. Just needing to watch me actually, you know, drive the nails into the coffin, I don't. And if that sounds like bold talk, well, maybe now at this point. Okay, you're pushing into there, you're pushing into here. You're joining this. Mess. These guys. Put a semi-shadow so you go up to there. Check it out. Okay, good. Go really quickly. Here, let's see. Black, This is one without. I don't even know if I bother moving it east. Maybe move it west. Okay. Keeping the Finns in the fight. Let's attack that province. Not next to theirs, so they'll keep pushing. No, I don't want to lose our kingdom. These guys are coming through that way. That way. How long until you can attack? Okay, I need post. Then, yeah. As soon as you can, you're gonna fight to cut the. Well, they already are cut off, but to keep cutting them deeper. Okay, just calculated up a bunch more fuel. And Buster Bomb. Okay, that's a one and done. Why does it say? Oh, here. Finally dug our way out of the hole. Okay, walk that down there. Overproducing supplies. A little more refineries to hopefully that helps with the fuel. But again, like I say, just. See, we've got the fuel. See, it's plus 5,200 whatever gallons, whatever, a day, and it's returning 7,300 is returning to the stockpiles. So it's just there's just now some of it is literally being lost in the supply tax, you know, because it costs a little bit of supplies and fuel to move across the map. But it just we got to send supplies because we're using supplies. Or fuel in because my understanding of the mechanics is when I steal supplies from Romania, meaning I've got this bomber here taking off, or transport here, taking off and flying supplies up to here, wherever it is flying to. Maybe it's more over here. Like a good province, can we get to there? Yes. Air supply. Even though it's taking it from their pool, Germany is sort of replacing the supplies. Fuel, air. Or fuel and supplies. It's so it's replacing it, and so some of it may be lost in that calculations temporarily, and some of it is we're transferring out 500 whatever a day, and that's what it thinks. So it needs to send 500 a day. Oh well, we really only continue to do 250, so it's sending back 200. So it's all this back and forth kind of stuff is partially the reason, and so. Like I was talking earlier, you know, I'm always, well, this has really helped out, having all these heavy transports that are able to fly supplies very deep. Because I can still supply almost to the edge of here, I think, or even beyond from this base here. Because I have airplanes flying, three air squadrons, whatever, flying to here, and then 3 air squadrons flying from here, and then, what is it, here? One of these don't show up. Yeah, here. I have these two fly to here, fly in supplies, and then these two will fly somewhere east. So I'm flying supplies airborne east, and that's really helping with the supply situation. So in doing that, okay, yeah. It's really helping. And so I really want the idea of is if conditions, distance, terrain, whatever, I do really want the effects of my tanks to run out of whatever, supplies, fuel. If they start pushing too far to whatever. But I do also want the idea that if I were to stop, the supplies would eventually catch up to me. And I've watched the situation before without micromanaging it, and it hasn't. It just the conditions, it just hasn't. I don't really know if I want to, yeah, let's, which way to go? We've got a lot of forces up here that we're trying to push. This guy should be northward a bit more, I think. Come on, since you're almost. No, we're going to head you north. No. Up here. And so I want, you know, the idea of some of this most assuredly. But then again, so I don't want to just play an arcade mode. But I want it to work well. If we're going to do it, I want it to work well and appropriately and whatnot. And so since it won't, well, I feel a little bad about periodically touching it up a little bit just to keep us from going down. The biggest problem I have with that is fueling these ships that run out of supply. That's my biggest problem. Where is Rommel's headquarters? Here. Yeah, there's Rommel here. Right there. Never did make it down because we shifted all the ships to... You gonna take him? Yeah, you might not. Okay, oh, we can even send Rommel. We'll attach you to... there's Rommel. Panzer Army Africa. Why am I not seeing Panzer Army Africa? There it is. I guess I missed it somehow. But the lack of no buildings. So I guess that will be there somewhere. Going to be forming up. Panzer Army Africa ready to deal with the Americans if they invade. Big statue. Wow, really big. I see I'm sort of shifting forces. This way, because we got a lot still. Can be moving this. Is, but can be. Oh, okay, we are actually trying to encircle. Good. Well, we may just acquire more territory that had leadership in it. Yeah, we can do carrier damage control system. Okay, well, we're here now. Oh, let's attach you to somebody. There we go. Sort of shattered. Come on in anyway. No, you want to go? You're okay, and you can leave. Danger of losing Archangel, but not too permanent. Okay, yeah, there. You can start heading down this way. Are they still attacking out here? Yes, they are. They're using up their supplies and they're moving their. Okay, I'm going to end the episode here because I've been advised by enough of you not to let the episodes get too long. So I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. It helps me, helps you. And of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and also say something. Say anything. Well, anything reasonable. We don't need, you know, put in, you know what we don't need of various types. But anything else, love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.